Iko Nini. Episode 198 tukisema like, subscribe, hit the notification button, tell a friend to tell a friend, sindio?
Yes.
Alafu kama we ni one of those weak dudes, unajua like one of those naitanga nini jo, inaitagwa like uko na fragile masculinity, ile like if we bring a female guest you get all up in your feelings.
Feminazis.
Yeah. It's time to log off bana. Lazima ujue ni Iko Nini. One of the reasons tuliamua gasa hii place inaitwa Kajitombe because hautufanyii favor buda jo. Ukikuwa hapo mnaletaje dem kwenda huko. Usilete ujinga jo. Hata ninajua nimeanza na ubaya cause nimekuwa nikichekose kama hao. Cause leo tuko na one of the funniest comedians in Kenya anaitwa Justine Wanda. Justine sasa.
I was trying to do like a woo and then my voice was stuck person.
Yeah. Hey. Paul nimeanza na hiyo rant. It's cause like I don't know what sort of men tuna raise saizi but na feel ni kama we are raising a lot of weak men and wanna hide behind strength. Unajua like mu sema there are two things I normally say. It's a man's world. Yes, number one. Number two, it's a white man's world. Let me explain. Lafu. It's a man's world in that as a man there are so many benefits that I get to enjoy that a woman can never enjoy. Unajua ama if a woman enjoys the same benefits she's frowned upon. For example, mimi nikiamka asubuhi na niseme I have 800 lovers, kila mtu atakuwa like buda
just your ways.
Dem akisema the same thing if she works even for like a certain corporate company that's enough to even get fired. If a girl was to do that. And then it's a white man's world. Why? There are places where a white man can go where I can never go. There are places, there are things that a white man can do that I can never do. Alafu kuna like places where just my skin color inaweza fanya nidedishwe. Na the white man won't have the same. Najua. Yeah, cause hata tukiangalia Warabuni watadedisha the white cause alikuja kwao, si ndio? Lakini mimi watanidedisha tu just for existing. So
for practice.
Yeah. So those are the things. So every time unaga like a man complaining, unaga like buda jo anaishi maisha gani hiyo buda jo. Yeah. Alafu pia I love my mother, man. That woman taught me so much. And she's still alive and kila siku namcelebrate. Mtu amekuwa kisikiza Iko Nini from day one anajuaga naambiaga like the number one hustler najua kwa hii world ni mother. Don't know if you ever know but my mom used to sell weed.
Whoa.
And she used weed to educate like so many of her kids. And during this period my dad was struggling with alcoholism and she stuck with him. So apart from being very hardworking, she was in quotes loyal. As
I can't help but she used to sell weed so you get higher education.
Important.
Yeah. You see. So there's that. So that was my initial rant. I hope nimerant. Na ilikuwa na rant tu ndio ni get that whatever. If you are looking for your male energy, wenda mshikane na chali yako, we chali shikana na chali mwingine, kuna baridi saizi mkumbatiane. Si tuna need that female energy. So Justine, sasa.
Wazana.
Okay. So tuanze show.
Yeah.
So tukianza show like nataka tubongejua a few things that have happened and then after these few things then we'll get into stories zako. Sindio?
Sawa.
But one of the greatest things that have happened this week because I feel like this is an important conversation is Kibe versus Sonko. Sindio? So kwa watu hawajui Kibe kwa podcast yake alifanya a video and the video was called Mike Sonko is an idiot. Alafu kwa that video he talked about how he does not understand why someone of Mike Sonko's caliber needs to be wearing things like Gucci,
Louis Vuitton.
Louis Vuitton, Louis Vuitton like he does. And he's reached a level where he can start his own clothing brand. Yeah. But apart from that, this is someone who's traveled the world. Why can't he steal some of those ideas and come and implement them here? And then when Sonko heard that, he watched the video. Alafu he started very well, Andrew Kibe nimekusikia. Then it turned very fast, unatomba matako, enda uza muzie mzungu matako. So opinion yako first of all,
mitasema
uliwatch video ya Kibe?
Yes.
Yeah.
And ilichukua a lot in me
kuwatch
video ya Kibe cause mi si wa Kibe.
Yeah.
So but like sometimes even the worst person is making important points.
Yeah.
Kitu yenye nina realize more and more ni hii vile tunaishi sahi we don't really care about industry zetu vile ziko. What Kibe said is actually true, ni ukweli. Kama Sonko anavaa Gucci, anavaa LV, anavaa nini, I think anapenda tu kuvaa stuff yenye iko na mapicha za watu ama like the more pictures ziko kwa shirt the more atavaa. So kama mtu anaweza fungua tu brand kama hiyo na I'm convinced ni high end, I think he's good for it. And what Kibe said ni ukweli. It's unfortunate that our leaders wetu hata na hiyo level of fame na pesa bado hawezi unda tu like brand yenye ni local na we support from scratch. Juu a lot of hata hizi kampani kubwa wanaunda nguo hapa tu Nakuru hapa like literally hadi Inda wanaunda manguo huku alafu sahi ati uwezi nunua kitu local ati kwa sababu lazima ikuwe na Gucci hapa like si ushone tu yako.
Wacha nijisifu vile umesema jo. Mi saizi I think I'm 90% Kenyan.
Eish.
Iti show made in Kenya, sindio? This trouser made in Kenya. My boxer made in Kenya. The only thing I'm not sure ni hizi socks jo. Hizi socks sikujinunulia, hizi nilipatiwa na Ian. These ones I'm not sure. But everything else now I'm wearing is made in Kenya.
Wow.
And I don't know vitu za madem zinapatikana made in Kenya easily.
I think brands mingi sana najua watu online wanapenda tiyo kitu ni fake, nilinunua iliaka moto siku ingine hapo nikiipasa. Lakini kusema kweli for us to be able hata kumanufacture like pure cotton lazima kukue na industries zenye zina support hiyo kind of manufacturing. It's very easy kuset up industry kama hizo, kama bei ya stima iko down, kama maji ni affordable, kama unaweza transport vitu because there are people wenye wanafanya hiyo kazi. Kuna madem wengi sana I think online wenye they have hata kama si like a full clothing brand wako na like some items yenye unaweza nunua yenye ni made in Kenya. I think kuna Icon aitwa nani si Joy Candy anaitwa nani this other.
Kuna hata udem anaitwa nani Yvonne Odhiambo namjua.
Yvonne Odhiambo
she dresses really akina Jackie Vike.
She's amazing really work and most of the work yenye anafanya ni like African fabric. African it's fabric, very very it's very good work. So I think pia shida ni kusupport Kenyan brand ni expensive kidogo compared to mtumba utanunua nguo ya 20 bob kama umemove tu kwa like
kwa madem
kwa madem sorry
stop for a split
kwa madem
usipoteze train of thought yako
kwa madem
mimi mubai vitu zikiwa on sale si ndio? So hii nilibai ikiwa on sale. Hii ni kaki si ndio? Ama ni chino, I think they call them chino. It was brand new 50% off. It was 850. That means when it's brand new it's 1700 shillings.
Which
if it's if it's 1700 shillings that's basically the fare utatumia kwenda nayo kuchukua mtumba ni the same. Hii uko sure ni wewe kuzumtumba ujagi kule metoka. Remember when like before the elections Raila alikuwa tunavaa nguo za maiti. Inaweza kuwa ni maiti najua hivyo. So so kuna hiyo. So naweza sema for men clothes zetu they are actually cheaper if you know where to look because kama hii traoni nini it's a certain company they're called Zekino. Zekino come under Aladdin wajanilipa but also ende wacheki Aladdin World of Brands. They do like these sales where they sell a lot of stuff for very low. My boxers nilizipata Jumia. The only thing about boxers nakwambia there's no quality control. So kuna some you'll find polyester. Yes, no, you'll ask for size. No, the material is very good. They look really good. But you'll find like if you ask for large, si large zote zinatoshana. Kuna large ingine ile inawezabidi
depends on who you're asking.
Yeah. and it's messed up because they pack them together. So they bring you like so it's a pack of 6 and all of these 6 you'll find 3 fit you well. Then 3 you might have to sa unajua ngoza kaija kufita wizi donate.
Maybe they are counting for if you gain weight.
No. They actually
ndogo.
Hizi ngine ni ndogo.
Okay.
Yeah, so they have that. So there's no quality
it's
control.
Like a father and son kind of deal.
I actually don't know. But sasa back to nikwata tu correct your story that affordability for men you can get affordable stuff. For women I don't know.
I will say this, women, there's like a lot of women brands uko nje. Si ati it's not that they don't exist, ni vile tu maybe pia watu kujua pali ya kuziget. Kama tseme ukijua most of these celebrities wa Kenya, if they buy a brand ya Kenya watayeka. Kama Patricia Kioro, shout out to her, akinunua lazima ike like designer, aike ata price ukimuuliza, ukimdm atakwambia.
Okay.
So it's watu kujua pali hizo nguo ziko, pali waneza buy. I think your knowledge hapo ndo kuna gap, like how to market, how to access audiences, hapo ndo kuna kashida. But ziko
alafu susemaga every time a dem wanava, there are things that when girls do we say they are doing it for other girls, because for us makes no sense. Nacheki like when a girl goes for her manicure ukituonyesha nails, oh look at my nails, does nothing to us, sindio? So
support women.
Yeah. So what do you think about when men wear designer clothes? Like, does that do something to girls? Like if you see a man in Gucci and a man in Amiri, does it like, oh, I need to know more about this guy?
I think ni false sense ya style. Mimi nasema kuna watu okay, hii ni all shade to Sonko, pole. But like ukiona mtu anakaa kama alipitiwa na gari ya brands ikamwangukia, like it could be very expensive,
a brand accident.
But it just
alafu akafura tumbo.
Ni kama alipotopwa kwa kona kachapwa brands wakamwachia all the logos. Like it's not that it's ugly, it just looks like a lot. I think to me designer items ni about maybe style yako. It's not about the items. Kuna watu wanavaa vitu zenye ni very affordable but they know how to style, so inakaa vizuri, anakaa very expensive, but hata akikwambia hiyo koti ilikuwa sijui 3k sijui nini ilikuwa 1000, like auta jua juu ya vile ami style. So sengine ukiona Sonko yuva vile nyumba yake inakaa, like ni very ni chaos
too much.
So it's, I think anaipenda cause like mtu anajua ni yeye. I think that's who he is, like anapenda yo kufanana hivyo, but not a lot of people can get away looking like that, like it's too much.
So it's too shouting.
It's
you think he gets away with it?
For him, I think kuna watu wanapenda yo aesthetic.
Because me nishacheki Sonko for very long, and every time I see Sonko I wish I had his money. Yes. I wish I had his cars. I've never wished I had his wardrobe. I've never wished I had his house. Like Sonko akinipatia keja yake naweza ichukua tu, lakini naweza lia.
Room iko na safe.
Cause iko na safe. Yani but that house, I know there's gold but it's ugly, like it's like Buddha Joe. But his cars, ushaona hiyo parking lot?
Very expensive.
Una vile sasa usamaga like ati chagua nyumba, usikineza chukua magari na niache nyumba.
Unaweza ishi kwa parking lot. I never moved it.
Katembora wamekupea place ya kulala, watu watalala kwa gari, kwa nini?
Mushinda kwa na nini? But sasa back to yok to pia one of the things pia Kibe alisema ni Kenyan leaders learn nothing when they travel abroad. So acha nikuulize, usha travel nje?
Not really. Around the African continent, yes.
Yes. Which countries?
I've been to Ghana, been to SA, I've been to Uganda, been to Tanzania, hopefully Rwanda soon.
Oh, okay. So acha tutoa Uganda hapo, because Uganda nikaa kuniambia you've been to Nyeri.
Checking hating on East African nations.
Kampala just Kampala.
It's an extension
actually,
of Western.
acha see aikukwa it's not a big deal. Like literally Uganda unaweza tembea tu. They are very chill people. Hata ujui pali Kenya inaisha na Uganda inaanza kweli.
Uganda muione huruma. So hata tusiende hapo.
Yes.
SA. Ukiwa SA, did you wish like if we could have this in Kenya? Because I think that's what Kibe meant. Like
ironically, see Mr. Price now.
Okay.
And like it's very affordable for them, it's very well done. Nani it's considered like a low end shop. So kwa akili yangu niko hawa watu it's not like they don't know, wanajua hizi vitu zina exist, but kuweka hizo infrastructure in place they're not interested. They'd rather look expensive ama wakae ni kama wanaishi maisha different from ours instead of actually doing the work.
Yani we kitu za joyce unatameja Mr. Price.
Ndo nasema at the basic level.
Okay.
So ukifikiria like an everyday Kenyan anataka affordability na anataka kitu nini stylish, sindio? Kitu yenye na compete ni mtumba. Mtu akisema nitaenda kama ni dem anasema nitanunua top 20 bob. Hata kama haitakaa atanunua top ingine after 3 months 20 bob. Like hiyo kwake si loss.
Because that's affordable, yeah.
But ukiweza unda like a brand yenye ni poa ina appeal to like an everyday person, imagine atashinda kishop kwako because anajua quality ni poa.
But sasa I think by the time nani Kibe alikuwa nasema hivi, I think he'd moved beyond the fashion. Now he was talking about development, infrastructure and everything. Ukiwa SA ulikuwa which city?
Nilienda Joburg.
Yeah. You didn't wish like Nairobi would look like that? Like you'd love if Nairobi looked like that?
Wacha tu niseme like it's very pretty.
Yeah.
Like it's ni kama kidogo naelewa kwa nini wao wanajifanya ni kama si wa Afrika. Because like there's just when your country is properly developed unafeel ni kama wewe as a citizen like unarespectiwa like huyu msee wenu as much as anafanya mchezo like kuna level yenye anakurespect. So development ya other African countries seme tu like I think with South Africa pia ina merge kidogo na colonialism juu yao ili take forever kuisha, so hiyo maybe ilikuwa ilisaidia vile ili develop, but sai pia wana get to a point where leaders wao wanawafanyia mchezo. So when you go to other countries na unaona wako na train system yenye na wako na public transportation system ina work, watu wako na housing, watu wako na healthcare, inauma sana that hao watu wakikuwa wagonjwa wataenda huko. Kama kuna time sijui ni minister mgani wa health alienda SA 2 weeks kutibiwa.
Okay.
So unafikiria si ufix basi hospitaliza huku so that you don't have to travel all the way, but I don't think they're interested.
Actually test za cancer most of the test zenye zinafanywa Kenya zinakuanga sent to SA then they take like 2 weeks for you to know you are fit. Si mob wasi wengi udiagnose na you have this type of cancer, results come from SA.
I think they don't care to improve it because kuna mali wana benefit kwa system ikuwa mbaya hivi.
Exactly.
Kama tuseme ati sijui watu lazima walipe sijui how much kwenda kuchukua passport, kwenda kuchukua visa sijui nini, wanakulia hizo places. So why would you improve it kama hiyo ndio cash cow yako? You won't change anything.
And nini do you think it's a Kenyan problem or it's a worldwide problem? The fact that we visit these countries, we see how efficient they are, but then tunarudi and we do the same old. Because don't forget, Jomo Kenyatta basically spent a lot of time in Britain. And he came back, basically did nothing for Kenya except himself.
But unajua pia yeye alikuwa kwa movie ka extra. Like I think alikuwa too busy.
Alikuwa kwa nini?
Movie gani?
Inaitwa nini?
Ujiona hiyo clip?
It's a very old movie.
I think I've heard that.
Yeah, but you can actually see our founding father just like huko hivyo nyuma. Yeah. Damn. I don't think he was credited as.
I don't think he was credited.
Yeah.
Alikuwa tuko vibes.
It shows you how life waga interesting yani. You know.
I think to your point watu ati wanaenda nje wanaonezi vitu alafu wanarudi huko and they don't do anything. I think wanapenda hiyo prestige ya kuenda nje. Ati nilienda place flani, like that's what they want to tell you. Like hiyo unfortunately iko tied to colonial mentality. Unajua ni like lazima wabalance watu wenye wako poor, wabaki poor, watu rich waendelee. Hiyo gap inawasaidia sana kukaa kama heroes. So I think hiyo element ya sisi kusafa, it's very important to them kuendelea kukupromise. Unajua nitakuletea barabara. Unajua nini? Like hiyo inawasaidia sana. it really helps them keep their money and their status.
But now if I was to compare our parents na sisi, our parents didn't have as much internet access as us, sindio? So even when they heard about how things run in the first world, they could not see them. Do you feel like sisi, considering we have access to information, it means we are stupid? Ama what does it mean that with all this tunafurahia kuzuliana nani what's his name Mtua went to New York to take photos. I'm like, why are you happy in another country? Like, be proud of your own.
I think
Make that
lazima ende uko afurahi. I think for a lot of them hiyo ni kuescape. Like wana escape shida za hapa. So sisi as much as tuna suffer every day, tuko na access to information, tunajua maisha yetu haiwezi kuwa the same na kama leaders wetu wanafanya kazi, si ndio? But at the core ni hiyo, they don't want to do the thing that changes. Unaona kama Kibaki was like a really good president. Juu alimove hiyo needle, watu waache kuishi sijui aje, watu wako na access to roads, watu wako na access to like hiyo kufungua hizo markets vile watu wakadhani ni impossible. He did that. So akabridge hiyo gap ya more people wanaweza pata pesa. But shida ni watu wengine wakipata pesa hawataki watu wengine wapate pesa. Like lazima wabakishe hiyo, unajua nikikupea 5,000 nimekusaidia sana. Like lazima wabakishe hiyo kagap. Ni hiyo story ya a rich uncle in the family. So continuously hata at the level ya government, at the level of country, lazima kukuwe na hiyo imbalance ndio dunia iendelee kuoperate vile iko. See, I don't think wanajali like hata ukikufa like
I know
si
they don't
mtu mwingine atazaliwa kesho na
so hiyo movie ya Kenyatta ilikuwa inaitwa Sanders of the River and this came out in 1935. So Jomo Kenyatta iko hapo
mseni mzee
1935 silikuwa
so vile alirudi Kenya alipula script on us.
I would want to know if Sanders of the River was about grabbing because
scramble partition.
Because another thing is you're in movies so that means by the time you're becoming president you know the power of art, the power of film. Then you inherit a KBC from the BBC that's basically perfect. Has studios, has like everything that alafu bado you do nothing about it.
I think my favorite thing ni vile KBC ilitake sijui almost like sijui 40 years kurebrand alafu wakeka logo inaka kama ile kobole mzee. And I was like kwani hiyo nini waliunda na Microsoft Word nini naendelea huko because hata in every government office unaweza tell kuna hiyo refusal ya kuchange. Umaifungua government website inakufungulia PDF. Unashanga like ni nani like si walipe tu website designer like what's going on. I think wanapenda sana kutufrustrate like wewe utoke kwa nyumba yako uende kwa ofisi usimame 4 hours bado akwambie rudi kesho. I think hiyo kitu inawafurahisha on a level. Juu ni kama kukufrustrate ndo ushinde ukirudi hapo. It's like juu ndo upewa kama sema ndo uende passport uende ukayapo hakuna mtu wa kukusaidia. Ukitoa maybe 500 utaonyesha ofisi yenye ukipeana 2K ni express hata kujia kesho. So like I think hiyo kukataa kuinini ni very beneficial. Mi ninapata pesa we ukiendelea kuhangaika.
Because it's sad. That's why na feel like your clip kwa sababu watch your clip ya Kibe enda itafute kwa channel yake inaitwa Mike Sonko is an idiot and I feel like that clip had more than about Mike Sonko. It had everything about African leadership and to me African leadership makes me sad and not just hata si Sonko peke yake. Mimi hata nikiwatch from siku za Moi cause kupata Kenyatta si ndio? Mimi siku za Moi I was a kid so I was fascinated by that but ever since my senses became my senses that means siku za Kibaki siku za Uhuru Kenyatta na saizi siku za Ruto I'm always sad to even see those motorcades. Like I see kuna hii clip moja iko na go round ya I think Ruto had gone for for prayers I think in Meru alafu akitoka there was a motorcade of at least 100 cars hizo gari utoka you count mpaka unafika level unachoka saa hiyo the president of a richer country like Netherlands goes to the office on a bicycle. I understand that Ruto can't go to the office on a bicycle because Al-Shabaab exists.
You never come back.
Yeah.
You'll never reach.
Yeah. So Al-Shabaab won't exist. So there are things I don't expect him. But I think 3 cars on a motorcade is enough for Ruto. 3 cars.
That's true.
Gari moja mbele, yeye katikati, nini. Hii ya katikati ndio let's invest ikwe bulletproof, ikwe bombproof.
Wamweke atacho kama
alafu kukwe na few motorcycles hapa 2-3 za kunini story kwisha but hii story ya all these cars big man syndrome a poor country like what are we trying to do
na ni prevalent it's not just Kenya it's hata wanitaje Zambia their president aliambia most government officials warudishe hizo like their big cars because tunawalipia fuel mnatumia sijui gari 6 sijui kwenda wapi na constituency wenu hawana maji like we don't need your performance ya leadership kama umfanyi kazi and he got so much pushback like he's not like a better president but at least kustep up na kusema tuwezi endelea kuishi na hii extravagance yenye saidi mtu ni poa like on some level vile umesema tu if we can get to a point where we use less cars less nani mnaonyesha kina nani tunajua we ni president it's not like we will forget ukikuza na gari moja like bado we ni president I think kuna hiyo it's sad but kuna hiyo goodwill like lazima every leader kwena hiyo okay maybe this is not something that I want to do kama Kibaki one of my favorite things about his presidency is how few times we kept seeing him on screen because he was busy working mtu mwenye afanyi kazi utamwona kwa TV daily juu lazima ni ana perform ni kama anaonyesha unajua leo nilikuwa huko unajua like aitusaidii
he was busy screening the economy
so Justine umeamua huku sikia Pauline Njoroge alishikwa nataka tushikwe
but nitasema as in hata si that's just like hata kwa county level if your governor keeps talking to you about sijui nimeenda hapa nimefanya hii sometimes that's not the truth lakini mtu mwenye anafanya kazi they are too busy working for them to be holding a microphone kuambia kila mtu vile amefanya kazi juu most of their time is actually spent kusaidia constituents cause hiyo ni job yako
cause history ya extravagance cause kilemu ushindwa ni now let's assume wacha tukiangalia hata magari Uhuru we used to hear Uhuru used to sneak out sindio and when he sneaked out he never used to want watu wajue any president so how many cars do you think used to be around him very few sindio
ama maybe hata moja
kuna time alitoka State House na Probox sijui akaenda wapi watu wakamuona town wanamwevia it was so random na ilikuwa hiyo time ya curfew or something
so he used to do hizo vitu so inamaanisha we don't need to be extravagant ndio nasema like I feel like your message your clip it was so much that even sisi wenyewe kureduce to Kibe versus Sonko is just so that the average a-hole can be able listen. To sit down and listen unajua and I feel kama the message was there maybe people didn't like the messenger
1,000%
so hamkufurahia
mimi nitasema kama ungenitumia mi singe watch clip ya Kibe but like I'm very aware Kenya nasema hiyo we kama leader unafaa kuwa na a little more vision than sijui tu kununua expensive clothes sijui kufanya nini it's unfortunate that watu wako wanataka itoke kwa Kibe but ni amesema so like we actually have to listen
because Kenyan leaders are embarrassing like so you remember those 2 cars that came from Laikipia you remember those 2 cars zilikuwa zinakaa kama
zilikuwa zinakaa kama nini ya smoky ni kama unakumbuka ukikuwa mtoi unaambia uchore gari huyo mtu alirun tu na hiyo vision hata like they didn't tweak anything hata nyuma kulikuwa hata na glass kweli ambayo ilikuwa Hakukuwa na
unajua kuna
hiyo
nini
screen.
mtu ancestral home ni like ipi accounting
actually ni nyandaro you guys.
hey, molo iko nyandarwa not like ipi
Not even molo olkalao
yeah okwagi molo
no
olkala why do I assume it's molo okay Paul I don't know why you thought it's molo
cash rock
Okay.
zetu ni
yeah I don't know how that car went through all these steps mpaka majuzi there's this guy called Khalif Cairo on the internet alisema Kenya please don't start a Twitter war these cars were made in Kenya then akaeka hii picha hizo vitu these are adults that sat in a room and decided you know what this car after that car was going to cost 460,000 do you know what you can get with 460,000 unajua
gari wa munda na scrap metal walikuwa nuzoa 460,000
yeah
actually I don't know
What?
if you growing up mlikuwa mnatengeza these tundai fulani used to make out na mawaya
yeah tuko tunatengeneza
actually look good
hata hizo zilikuwa better
That's
ilikuwa
robotics.
inakaa kama
that's robotics
Eh.
101
tuko
you
mpaka
know.
tunaeka nini steering tuna
Yeah.
kuwa na
Hapo.
engine it was fully wire na nini
Yeah,
exactly.
so
Yeah.
good
that was work put into it hii ingine is just I don't know hata jua kali wenye wale watu tengeza milango they would actually do a better job
yeah
ama kama ni wao si wasmoki who actually came up with that we can excuse them
Yeah, but kunock off nini ya smoky mnaiuza 460,000 is hiyo ni fraud bana
it's nini alafu still so kwa nini upendi the messenger acha tuongee juu ya the messenger kidogo before tuongee vile utombo kwa matako
I think to me I think I'm not his audience
Yeah,
even
yeah.
nitasema like constantly attacking women it makes me very uncomfortable juu like there's no need for that you can have a conversation about watu wenye unachukia bila necessarily kuwatukana na kuwa make targets juu kuna watu wengine hawajui pali pa kudraw line especially kwa nakusikiza sana
Yeah.
watachukua hiyo hate message wako like oh no this is my mission mtu anaenda out of their way like to become a very horrible person because Kibe alimwambia afanye juu
yeah
unfortunately most of the people who listen to him ni very young
yeah
ni wa impressionable hawana vitu za kufanya mtu amesikiza hiyo ako like oh maybe this is how I should live the next thing you know there's been so many cases of like femicide like women just being killed out of like for no reason by their partners by people in their lives now haujui huyo mtu anasikizanga nini you'll never get the full picture so vitu kama hizi zina contribute
hapo pia acha ni kuinterrupt kidogo one of the things ile najua I don't think I've ever heard him advocate for violence I've heard him say a lot of dumb ish that I consider dumb when it comes to relationships but I've never heard him nini violence one of the funniest things I heard him akidu majuzi was he was talking about how you should never live beyond your means so it's a very good conversation but he always anathroigizile jibes zake so he was saying the way atunafaa kachini na bibi yako nambia sasa maisha vile nanipeleka hatuwezi ishi hapa pamoja itabidi uende ocha mi nishughuliki nikishamaliza
support you from a distance
yeah that's a very old school sort of mind state
Yeah.
but pia na understand what you mean like for the young impressionable minds it's very easy but I think he's nini I'd want to know his target audience but I think it's actually not just young men
yeah it's not I think my ntasema tu tena I think the message as it's relayed is not for me
yeah okay
no because bad people say important things all the time
yeah okay.
they're called politicians like wako huku nje wako huku nje every day
spreading the good word
so when I watch him I think it's just very hard to listen to because he could be saying something important but vile imekuwa layered na nini so kuna watu wengine ndo nitasema kuna watu hawajui kufilter unaget like mwingine anaweza kuwa anapewa important information but because hapo kuna hizo majives zime ako like maybe I should hate women maybe I should like na maybe that's not what he's saying it's just that that's how he relays it so more people can listen
yeah because he also says clearly that it's a comedy show but now let's go back to what Sonko said about him so Sonko really took offense with that message yes and one of the things ile Sonko alisema ni uko America unauza matako and I know you don't like Kibe, but like, according to wewe unafikia nauza matako.
Nitasema whatever is doing is his business. Maybe that's none of my business. Nitasema, and it's very hard mtu ajui maisha yako. Kusema tu kweli. Naweza kuja hapa mwafu na kuona maybe once every 3 months. I don't know your life like that. But because I feel nikaneza kuattack on such a personal level, na nitasema unfortunately ini kitu iko very common along, I think in most African cultures. Like mtu akisema ni kama
unauza matako.
It's like very, najaribu kutafuta hiyo word, but ni kama it's very beholden to rape culture.
Okay.
Ni hiyo ni kama nataka ujue you have no meaning, like kuna kitu ulikuwa umesema earlier ni kama I'll make you my bitch. Ni hiyo that kind of it's implied. So it's very unfortunate that iyo statement kama hizo mizi uni make very uncomfortable because like huyo mtu ni like a whole leader, like he's still in the public eye. It doesn't matter unasema ni like you have to be very conscious unaongea aje juu ya mtu na kama mpigie simu mtukanane na huko unaget but don't usi-encourage kuongelesha watu hivyo juu ni kama una tabia fulani kwa society.
Alafu pia mi na feel nikane za address is now from because a lot of people wakiangalia Kibe it's from the outside looking in, sindio?
100%.
And I'd say for me I'd say like we share a few things in common and that is we both run a podcast but his podcast is close to 7 times bigger than Iko Nini, sindio? And the way he posts his videos inakuaga at least neza sema with more frequency than sisi. Even like one of the reasons why we started posting more than one video per day is because of Kibe, Andrew Kibe. Yeah? As I've always said, I admire that dude's work ethic. It's second to none. Like there are very few people neza sema work more hours than me and that's one of the few people najua. And with that I can comfortably say alinunua Benz but hakuuza matako. Ukiniwekea gun kwa kichwa nakwambia umsa ya kuuza matako. Aliuza tu podcast. Like this guy is a podcaster and it's his whole life. When he's not on YouTube, he's on Twitter. He stays on Twitter for like 6 to 7 hours every day.
It's a long time.
Alafu ikitoka hiyo ya Twitter because it's free, it goes on to Patreon. Huyu mtu auzi matako.
Actually by Benz juu ya kuwa matako.
So for me to hear a leader say that, like I understand mtu anaweza kuoffend but mtu akikuoffend let's not go for these really basic whatevers because I don't feel, yes he called you an idiot which maybe
unaweza kuwa tu mjinga, like that's not a bad thing kukuwa mjinga. I think kila mtu ame access at some level but like where as a person kama seme wesi mjinga kaunta yako haiwezi kwa basic matusi inaweza kuwa like by the way nilianzisha hii brand wewe umeinunua like that's a more valid response than kumwattack on that level, like that's unnecessary.
So I feel like hii ni kitu it's one of those and this is the problem I have with Kenyan leadership and just Kenyans in general. Niki to like sometimes we hate the message so much that we end up attacking the messenger.
Tunachukia.
We end up attacking the messenger and I'm like they're like we can never change a society if we can't have these conversations. And the conversations is like right now the average Kenyan leader is a stupid low IQ baboon and that's just a fact. I love what are to sugarcoat to see sugarcoat
orangutan
nimeka redacted
mimi naweza kuambia nitahat feelings za watu kadhaa but there is no place on earth, I don't care how many degrees this guy has, but there is no place on earth where a national government should employ Moses Kuria. A national government
100%.
There is no history ati umesimama pale if you are attacking one community
that is so
that
disgraceful.
should disqualify you automatically
immediately.
But because Kenya, as I said, the average Kenyan peer is not like the brightest bulb in the room. They don't see the problem with that. Like yes, Ruto needed to pay back the Kikuyu community how many Kikuyu professionals are in this country?
There's
Kikuyu
so
unaweza kosa.
many, and there's so many qualified
Yes.
people. What to I think this is my theory. Kuna this government in particular is not about employing people who are qualified. It's about employing people who they can blackmail. It's so much easier nikwambe we unakumbuka ulibas jini nini jaribu tena unaenda jela, so that you can get to puppet them wafanye kenye unataka instead of getting someone who's actually good at their job. Na Moses Kuria, this is not the first time he's been in this. He's literally been arrested before several times for hate speech. Like he's just one of those very vile stupid people who has been in so much trouble. Na bado wako tu like tutakupea CS position. Like they're not even hata nashanga vetting process yake ilikuwa aje. Like they had to have asked him something.
Let's come back to who's the best amongst us. Nani ametoka kuretire? Umse anaitwa nani? Njoroge wa
Central Bank.
CBK.
I think that guy can be a trade cabinet secretary. I don't know.
And he would do really well too, because like he fought for stabilization ya nini.
Nani really performed well. Maybe I wasn't that mature to understand politics and maybe how trade and industries work. But Mukisa,
we have to, let's be honest, we have to keep it tribal. So we can't go outside.
Okay.
We can't go outside the Kikuyu community.
Like, okay.
We should not go outside the Kikuyu community.
Okay.
Let's Ruto feels which is rightfully so. He feels like he owes the Kikuyu community these positions. Give it to the most qualified person. This guy didn't even win in Kiambu. So apart from insulting Wajaka, what else did he bring to the table? Nothing.
Your whole thing can't be just like, I am embarrassing the president, or like I'm embarrassing this administration. Like that can't be kazi yako kila wiki. There has to be a point where you're like, okay, maybe I have to start doing my job. Nata barely a year into this administration, hiyo ministry yake imekuwa like 3 scandals. Unakumbuka hiyo kitu ya China Square? And like instead of thinking, okay, hizo ni employments za watu zitadisappear, how do we make sure basi Kenyan partners wana come in kwa ikitu ndo isiende to waste. Like you're attacking people. Juzi hiyo story it's still open. Hiyo nini ya cooking oil scandal. And I'm like, every turn, just apart from your hate speech, bado unaribu ministry. Like there has to be somewhere where, okay, maybe I should do some work. Leo tu wacha nifanye job, nisifungue mdomo, nisilewe, wacha tu nifanye job. Nothing. And it's so bad jundu ameanza job sahi.
So kuna hiyo. Alafu tukitoka hapo still when you're sticking with politics, have you been seeing what Eric Omondi has been doing? So Eric Omondi has been going around helping victims of police brutality. So the first person he helped was there's this guy whose family was tear gassed. After his family was tear gassed, he was so angry, he came out at the police and ambia police like, how can you tear gas my children? Then he was grabbed by a cop. Sindio? So Eric Omondi ali secure his release, and also I think he raised like 400,000 shillings for him. And then there are these other 2 kids who are shot in Kisumu, and he's doing the same. He's helping pay for their medical bills. Plus apart from that, he's planning to build their parents a home and even open a business for them. There are people who are saying he's doing all this so that he ends up in politics. Is that wrong, if that's the truth?
Mentasema as a person mwenye anapenda morally upright people wenye hawana other intentions, I worry about people like that, because hao ni watu wanaweza kawa manipulate vibaya sana, because like unakumbuka nilikusaidia, so you can't hold them accountable. It's like that Babu Owino and DJ Evolve situation where it's like itafika mahali lines ziko blood kabisa hadi it's like you can't hold that person who shot you accountable. Mi nitasema what Eric Omondi is doing ni important. Lazima mtu akwe anajaribu kusaidia instead of just escalating your situation. It's unfortunate that a comedian has to like anacha job yake kuja kusaidia watu wenye wanakuwa tear gassed, but it's good that he's stepping up because he has the resources. He maybe can make a few calls wasaidie watu, but even if he's doing it for political ambitions, someone needed to help those families.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that ni mapolisi wali shoot like wali tear gas watoto wenyewe, like it's very sad. But I'm just happy that there's someone who's stepping up, because I don't think wangepata compensation kutoka kwa gava.
Na hakuna temptation like ukijana akishapona, hakuna temptation
Yeah?
kana China nikona, unajua kuna rappers wengi kutoka hii Kisumu area kuwa maraba ulitandikwa risasi 9 kama 50 cent bwana. Shika microphone
tupate luo drill. Mimi nitasikiza hiyo stuff.
Anaperform bila shati, ana make sure anaperform bila shati.
Hata unaweza
but he was shot in the back, man.
Hata unaweza hashtag hata 50 cent like
yeah.
Safari
shot. Hapo Kenya bila tukwagi ni creative. It was sumni. Hatukwagi creative. Angalia M-Pesa, sport pesa. Hamuonagi it's the same exact
everything
thing.
Is pesa.
Then after M-Pesa, sport pesa, what else was there? There's a time jina pesa imetumika mpaka pesa pal. Although pesa pal at least hiyo neza ipatia I can give it at least hiyo neza excuse, but kuna apart from pesa kuna time hiyo jina pesa misuse. We always take one thing and we just go with it like we are not creative. Sinka it design vile ilikam kwa like different circles, and all they used to do was the circles would take jina ya the first person, the second person, and the third. So walikuwa nasema kama mkona Matthew alafu Tanya na sijui nani matako sako. We are not creative. So I feel like but so I recommend. I actually think he's doing something good.
Mimi nasema unfortunately as people tunapenda hero mwenye anama tunajua hata tu let down. Akianza kurun for MP ama senator hakuna mtu atashtuka. We've seen it coming. It happened with Jalas. It happened with Anitaje. There's another artist pia mwenye. It happened with Jaguar. We're not really surprised that they become these people. Unfortunately, kwa dreams za wa Kenya, the biggest thing you can be is a politician. Like you don't, hakuna like community leaders when you wanaenda beyond just being a like you. Being an artist is so much stronger than being a politician. But vile reward system ya Kenya iko unapata tu mtu afadhali aende parliament juu anafeel nuko ata make impact, alafu a few years later aliiba pesa, alijenga nyumba sijui wapi, alievict watoto like tuna story shaandikwa. They're just following that path.
Kuzuki tumesema like being a politician in this country, cause that tukiangalia ukiona like the way even Sonko was addressing Kibe, ilikuwa with that sort of unajua madharau, like mimi nishakuwa leader, wewe ushakuwa nini. And with that like I think one of the things ile maybe to point out hapo mbeleni ni out of these two people we know one person's source of wealth. They might not be the richest person,
but we know where it comes
their source
from.
of wealth. We najua Gaum say every day he shows up and he works here. You have an unexplained source of wealth. You have so much money that you just go out dishing it out and it never ends. Hii pesa ishagi.
And it's not of certain I dish out in good circumstances. It's times then when he feels like he needs to defend his wealth. You know, like kama kuna mtu amemwandamine. Juzi I saw him flashing out zile pesa ziko kwa safe yake in different currencies just because, and it's a family issue. Records goes public, sema sijui ni atiwa sisaidianagi, and he suddenly feels that need, you see. He can't flash out his money quietly. Tuseme ameenda amesaidia huyu, amesaidia huyu, no.
But leaders, I feel like Kenyan leaders wanapenda hiyo kitu. Unajua ile like kuonyesha niko na pesa na kuna kitu utaniambia, wewe hakuna kenye umeifanya in your life. Vile tu umesema a lot of mimi kenye nimeifanya, nimeikuwa governor. we umaifanya nini. It's like it doesn't count that you are actually a hardworking person who doesn't conform kwa hii situation like lazima ukue mp ukue sijui nini like kwako nikaa hauja achieve kitu which I think is very ni kuminimize kazi ya watu.
Alafu pia naweza sema maybe mta disagree na mimi but naweza sema when it comes to Jaguar, Jalango and Eric Omondi, I then say that Eric Omondi has paid his dues. I don't think these guys did what this guy has done. This guy has been involved in protests and he's been arrested in protest. Tulizita clout, but he was there. Sindio?
Yeah. He was at the forefront.
Yes. So alifanya his protests and then he's been involved in releasing protesters. I don't think Jalango
even
was
petty offenders.
that... Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think Jalango was that active before akuwe nini, and I also don't think Jaguar, because Jaguar namjua ni mtu wa handouts, and I feel like hizi za Eric Omondi they go beyond handouts. Jalango, I don't know what he did. Siwezi kumbuka like any whatever, but I know there's a few things he did in Langata to reach where he was, but sifikiri ilikuwa this active level ya Eric Omondi. So I feel like he's paying his dues before he runs for whatever if he's planning to.
I think Jalango alisaidia sana like platform yake ilikuwa inasaidia ku highlight issues za like everyday people ama Kenyan celebrities and wako forgotten, so I think you ilimpea traction. So in his head he was paying his dues, he was supporting people who maybe the industry has forgotten ama country na treat vibaya. So it's unfortunate that he was doing it katikati ya kusell tissue na tomato sauce. But I think in that capacity he was trying to help. Ni unfortunate that vision za most our leaders ni very short lived. It's like okay, hiyo podcast yote ni alijenga ilienda up your audience.
Your audience iko.
Is it still like focused on him ama
if he shows up there
to someone else?
Like if he was to show up there right now to explain why he did whatever the development thing ya Langata, watu wata show up, people will show up and listen. You see,
I think I just worry that ukiunda platform kama hiyo, like if you're a big influence, unaona kama sahi like there's so many people who watch your work and they're like so attached to the work that you do, so when you start running or like kuna vitu zenye your office doesn't allow you to do, and as an artist it feels like we've lost a connection yenye with the work that you've done. And your audience itakuwa, but it's kind of like umeikill in a way, because your work was only a means to an end. Ulikuwa tu toke stage moja uende ingine. But what happens to hao watu wenye wamekuwa kikusupport through and through, like people who are interested in your work? Kuna I think kuna way unaweza transfer audience. Earlier we were talking about like how leaders do not ever think about art even if they've participated in it. How does he anaweza reconnect aje your audience? Maybe now there's just a YouTube channel yenye iko, it's not being useful. Na maybe inaweza saidia a bunch of other people because Jalango's name is right there. So I think maybe anaweza transfer audience. Inaweza take some time kuhold, but itasaidia jina yako iko attached.
Because me so far naweza sema like I'm really impressed with what Eric Omondi is doing. The only thing I hope he'll stop doing is criticizing Kenyan music. I feel like that coming
that's
from
counterproductive.
Coming from him that normally is just annoying. I'm there like, why are you doing this?
Si pia hiyo unda parodies za Kenyan music na why would you be una hate aje kwa kitu yenye pia inakulipa?
So kuna hiyo ile sita understand like why the hell he does it. But sasa vile unasikia protest ni kama zimeisha. Do you think they were successful the last maandamano? The last week, were they successful?
Success ni stretch, but I think ni way ya watu kutaka kwa listen to. Unajua kitu inanibo ni vile imekuwa lost in politics. It's like, oh, the president versus the opposition, sijui UDA MPs versus Azimio MPs. Iyo sasa ndio ni overwhelming conversation. But hapo katikati watu wanaumia
cost of living
ni kama tuna gaslightiwa tunaambia hakuna mashida si mnalipa taxes si tuko huku tutawajengea stadium in 5 months like hizo ndo vitu zenye tunaambiwa badala ya ni watu hawezi afford unga, watu hawezi afford mafuta like hiyo conversation imepotea. That to me hiyo ndio ni my biggest issue na hii protest vile imekuwa covered. Juu watu wamekufa, people are burying their dead right now. Ni kama tumerudi nyuma. I don't think ime succeed per se kwa sababu hata hatukusikizwa. It just gave politicians more time kwenda huko nje kuzunguka country wakiongelesha watu juu ya vitu zao instead of listening to us.
Because but the most interesting thing, that's why I'm gonna say like the average Kenyan is not the brightest bulb in the room, is I think it was this guy Kimani Ichung'wah. He was on a stage and he said these taxes are not for the poor, they are for the rich. We are taxing the rich. And then this is the same country
we are taxing
that
the rich?
yes
Which
this is the
rich?
same. See, anyone who works apparently in Kenya is rich.
Wow.
So if you have a paycheck you are rich, yes, but unajua kwa hii finance act wame exempt taxes on helicopters. Helicopters, do you know what it takes to own a helicopter? Ushaika chini ukapicture yourself in a helicopter, like owning it?
No, hata nikijipicture nikiwa so
Wealthy.
successful maybe be hiring it for one day. You know, ile like you have
kama
to
ya prezo ile ya kutoka
but not owning, you know. It's too expensive.
It's too expensive, like,
and you don't need it. But most of the time you're on land. Most of the time you're on land.
Ulena hiyo explanation ya hiyo kwa nini ati hawa tax helicopters
sikusikia
ilikuwa okay, ati apparently Kenya's aviation industry ilikuwa ina lose engineers na watu wanawaka kwa hiyo sector to other places kama Tanzania na Rwanda kwa sababu their industry is cheaper to work in. So they had to remove hizo taxes kusaidia engineers important wabaki huku. Niko hiyo ndo incentive mnenda nayo. Like I don't think there's any engineer mwenye anakuwa undercut because of the taxes. Semeni tu mnataka cheaper ways to move around.
Because the funny thing is Ndovuku is an aeronautical engineer and he told us they let him go. He used to work up at Wilson. They let him go. So that means if you are letting people go, how are you claiming that people are going out there? So it's one of those. But
no explanation as it makes sense.
But vile nilikuwa nasema like the average Kenyan like mufikiriaga hii story ya nini, you know the whole idea behind the electoral college. Do you know the idea behind it? What in your understanding, what was the whole idea behind the electoral college?
It's I think so Americans walikuwa na fear that if they elect a leader fully tu na votes za watu, kutakuwa na states zenye ziko underrepresented. So kuna states zenye ziko na more power than others because of the amount of electoral votes wako nazo. So unapata kama kama Texas iko na like a lot of electoral votes as compared to like place kama Mississippi juko ni ushago maybe hawana that much of an influence. So unapata if you get all these electoral votes in different areas, kuna states zenye ukishinda unajua hiyo presidency ni yako. So ni kama siko babat ni kuprotect selfish interests za watu wenye wako kwa hizo states and they want to keep leadership on their side. So kama Hillary aliwin like the popular vote hiyo time ya Trump, but she couldn't get in kwa sababu
of the electoral
vote. Ilikuwa like electoral vote
she got the popularity vote.
Count hazijafika bado. Kuna states alishinda but ziko na less electoral votes. So me I feel it's like a selfish way for rich people to protect their interests. They can get you the voters.
Because another way that I hear it was also supposed to work was now the founding fathers of America did not think that the average American was intelligent enough to choose leaders. So this was the whole idea. So the whole idea ilikuwaga like mtavote, yes, the popular vote will happen and you'll tell us who you think is supposed to be the leader, but then now kuna wale wa members wa the electoral college. I think it's called that.
Yes.
They are the ones who are to now make the final decision. So just because maybe Florida is a state.
Yes.
Just because maybe Florida had voted Democrat, and if these people felt like this was not the right decision, they could now make the decision for Florida. Nacheki. So that was, and I feel like that in its purest form would be something really good for Africa. Nacheki. So kawa si tunaweza kaa chini. Now let's say electoral college ya Migori for example. Alafu umetulete Obado. Tuko like Obado? Nah. This one cannot lead us. Wacha tupatie mwingine. So because with that they felt like they'd get the best of the best. And then look at how America started. Like America started on, apart from of course on the backs of black people and free labor, slavery, America still had very intelligent people. And for a very long time America was the beacon of what. America was so development. It was so far ahead that right now it has like so many clowns and it's still basically number one.
But ntasema unaona hiyo kusema electoral votes at its purest it's supposed to help. That's where I think we go wrong as a human race because like kuna hiyo belief that interests zako azita supersede kenye unaenda kufanya. That's what we forget. Like ata wako bado we ni msee bado unaweza kuwa influenced, bado unaweza kuwa paid off, bado unaweza like mtu atakupata hapo nyuma akupee $1,000 akwambia ukivote hivi in the next 5 years nitakupea hii na hii. Most of their corruption haikuangi very straightforward that nitakupea tu pesa. Inakuanga nitakupea stock kwa kampani yangu ni hii, huyu congressman ataivotia. Like by the time unaangalia generational wealth yako kwa like I'm set for the next 10 years. So hiyo ndio kupata kitu kama hiyo at its purest form ni very hard because human beings lazima watakuwa influenced. Alafu kwanza hapa Africa
is
na vile people move mad for 1,000 bob. Imagine hiyo level ya nini. It's very
but
much as I understand the idea but maybe hakuna oversight, it's very hard to like make sure for it to work the way you hope it would.
Wanafikiria the average Kenyan should be allowed to vote?
Yes.
I don't think so. Like when I look at people are so stupid.
But people are stupid every day. Hata kama billionaires wanakuanga wajinga.
Because like I always go to the county level. I never look at the national level. Like I look at the county level and I look at like place kama Homa Bay for example. And I always look at like Homa Bay had a governor and during his tenure I always use this as an example. They spent 280 million shillings on tea and beverages.
I remember that story.
I'm like, how is this is the best amongst the so-called Luo? Like this is the best person you could come up with? Like these are the same people who if I walk into a room they look at my dreadlocks and anything that I say will mean nothing because I have dreadlocks. And the fear of dreadlocks, like anyone with common sense should know, the reason why tuna fear dreadlocks is because the colonialists had to deal with the Mau Mau and the Mau Mau had dreadlocks. So of course they told the home guards that anyone who has dreadlocks is a criminal. And that stereotypes, when like you smack a monkey and the monkey tells the other monkey you'll be smacked, before you know it, every monkey knew that dreadlocks are wrong. And so that's where we are. Where everywhere I look, I see clowns.
Okay. Nikupe counter argument ya why I think everyone should vote. But as it stands now, kila Kenya na kona level ya shida yenye anapitia. Kuna mtu mwenye maybe they're not as well educated, they don't have access to like a lot of resources. Alafu on the other end of the spectrum ni mtu mwenye ni smart, ameenda shule, amepata job poa, like akona resources za kuendelea kuexpand knowledge yake on daily things, you know. So these two people are supposed to vote on the same scale. Obviously kuna mtu mwenye atavote akiangalia interest yake, huyu msee amesema ataniimprovia shule nini, hiyo itanisaidia mimi na watoto wangu. Whether that person is going to do that job or not is entirely up to them, unfortunately. So mi nikisikia ukinipromise kitu whether nimevote according to tribal lines ama nini, hizo ni biases zenye uwezi change, but mtu I think anaweza vote according to their own personal interest. Shida ya kuvote ni high-end tu na kuvote, hakuna accountability. Tuna votingi tu mtu ako like si nani atakuwa kwa office atanifanyia kazi alafu you go about your day. 6 months later kama sijui ni like a couple of years ago huyo msee wa Marsabit ni sijui deputy governor ama nani alidisappear, alirudi like 3 or sijui 6 months to the election.
Ndo
watu wakaanza kumwona ati nilikuwa anafanya PhD.
I don't think it was the one was a doctor in the US. It was one of those but marginalized counties hakuwa nini deputy wa Lonyangapuo.
Alikuwa deputy wa Lonyangapuo. Uko ni wapi?
Lonyangapuo alikuwa nini wa but there was that guy, he even had an American accent, he just show up so alikuwa nini, and hizo ndo vitu pia nasemaga like you are a doctor in America like doctors are like some of the most respected professionals. You've seen American hospitals come with the same idea to your county as in just borrow something
and you can actually improve your county so well kwa sababu you've lived there, you know how the systems work. Like if you really want na saiju governor kona more power like you can actually fix your county for real. Now uneza you can literally destroy like people corrupt because you have the power. You can just make phone calls, you can make sure Kenyan nasema tu hakuna accountability. So as much as people are voting for their own silly interests in their own stupid way or in their own smart way, inafika mahali hakuna hiyo end to end ile like ulianza hapa mtu alikuja kukampenia, the next stop ilikuwa kuvote, the next thing ni accountability, alafu turudi tena elections. So kama kungekuwa na modes of accountability beyond just you voting na wewe kwa active, like unaweza pigia MP wako mwambie wewe cheki ulitudanganya ati sijui barabara itakuja ni 3 months, nini inaendelea, tutakuja huko tutachukua TV yako utaishi kwa giza mpaka our stuff is fixed.
But you know now the government would release the police against its own citizens.
Exactly.
That's why like mimi samaga people vote against their own interests because you see like the way when you go online and you look at a protest has been killed, you can always see that this community will celebrate, this community will mourn, this community will not. And this person who's celebrating, you remember what I said, he is not the brightest bulb in the room because they forget that at some point you'll not be anywhere close to the power. And these people that as long as they get a taste of blood, they'll always love doing that. I check it. So people vote against their interests. Alikuwa msawapi?
Alikuwa naitwa Dr. Nicholas Atudonyang.
Which county?
Niyo nini? West Pokot.
Yes.
He was he had been practicing
medicine.
He's a neurosurgeon practicing in America. He was away for 4 years.
So
alikuwa anajua constituencies wao wake hawana kichopoa.
Ni neurosurgeon. Haya. Kumbe pia ni mse wa kuthink small.
Like that guy, what was his name? Ben Carson.
Nitasema like even the smartest people, unfortunately vile unasema people will always vote against their interests ama they don't know how to overlap their brain power na actually things that benefit them.
Because when you kumbusha like this other conversation, I always argue with people about this. So last week on Friday tukifanya live na Ian, I brought up Boniface Mwangi and I always, according to me, I always say like one of the few Kenyans I know who has Kenyan interest at heart is Boniface. And I always say that because this is someone who he criticizes people that some of us can't even think about. Like even if you thought about it in your wildest dream, you'd wake up and apologize. But he stands by that. Paka yewaga na hiyo nini yake team courage. Sindio? And you'll find that the way Kenya is structured, I'd say even for Ian unazani correct, but from the outside looking in, if I look at hated people in hated distrusted people in the Kikuyu community, Raila akiwa number 1, I think Boniface Mwangi would be in the top 5. he's taken as even a betrayal to the community. You know why? Because how dare you speak against the Kenyatas? This is him. He was speaking against the Kenyatas before
It was
Kenyatta endorsed Raila.
Yeah.
He was speaking against the Kenyatas. He was taken to court by Ruto, nakumbuka, for defamation. Alafu kesi ikadropiwa. But that's how much distrusted this person is. And that's why I don't feel like the average Kenyan needs to vote. Because now I'd want the intelligent Kikuyus to be like, this is our leader. And the same way maybe the intelligent Luos would say, like, who is that? You understand? Like, if every community was to get their Boniface Mwangi, this country would change.
I get that, but my only problem is like the overlap here. Watu wenye, they actually do care about the collective. Na watu wenye wako hapo for their own things. Ni a very small margin. Like ndio unaweza pata like a bunch of intelligent people and maybe you feel like they can progress the country a little more. But even therein lazima kuna watu wenye wako na biases zao.
Okay. Not
like
just
that's what
intelligent and honest. Intelligent and honest, not just intelligent.
Yes. It worries me a lot. Like there are smart people kwa hii country. There are people who are working hard. There's a guy, I think I read a story some time back. I think he had this farm, tomatoes. He was doing like a whole horticulture moment. And then he tried to get CG licenses to be able to like get proper logistic ship, like for him to just streamline your process. And he was so frustrated by it's like the trade ministry, transport ministry, like every single where he went ni like walikuwa na demand so many licenses, he had to close down his business. And you think about someone as simple, he might not have been like the most progressive person out there, but like your industry support angepata to the actual support that they need, inge change so much. So I understand you wanting the smartest people to be ahead of the game.
The honest people.
The smartest, honest people to be ahead of the game. But there has to be, I'll say this, for me, goodwill ni more important. Like there has to be someone who actually cares about making people's lives better, making things a little more easier for the average Kenyan. Like your life doesn't have to be so hard. Sio lazima kila siku like unaenda through life ndio ukienda mali ukisa nilitoka Kenya. Mwacha Mungu aite Mungu. Like it can't be, that shouldn't be your life. It should be easier for like all of us to exist.
Alafu ndio nakwambia like why a movie like Bonnie stands out is, you remember like when I gave you that example, I tried to think of a young Luo leader and I couldn't. Like who's the Luo equivalent of Bonnie? I don't think I know. Ama mnajua? Who's the Luya equivalent of Bonnie?
Omtata
is really good.
But Omtata sasa now he's older. So Omtata, I was even surprised. Omtata, because Omtata is Teso. I always thought he was Luya, but he's Teso. And I was surprised that they actually voted for Omtata. Because Omtata ali ran na ODM kweli, no? He just ran with Azimio, but something else. I don't know what was up with him, but I was surprised. Vile Omtata lingia, I was like, what? You people have actually voted for someone for your own interests? Unajua? Because I feel like we always vote against our interests. Just those people who are like, mbona niishi maisha mazuri na naeza safa.
It's like, why should it be easy?
Let me
wacha tuhangaike.
So saizi wacha sasa tuongejea comedy.